The problem is we are going to build the system architecture for Amazon search. Okay, I'll repeat. We are going to build this entire system architecture for Amazon search. Now, here is the key ask. Okay, now, though I'm going to be working with Ovro, I want all of us to take a minute. I'll give you exactly a minute and think through what are the core capabilities. Like, what is the first thing that you want to talk about when I say Amazon search? Tell me the first thing, how you want to approach this problem. Use chat, use microphone, do whatever you want to do. Tell me the first thing. How will you begin? I want to hear that.
Search any product name.
Okay.
I
Any
mean,
other takers? Got it? Search any product name. You can use chat if you want to. The search icon. Okay, Nikhil. Understand the
So
scope of search. Prashant, can you elaborate a little more on that? What do you mean by scope of search? Like, oh, what do we want to search? Make sense, Prashant?
Yeah,
I think so. I got
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Got it. Anybody else?
yes, Sandeep, I would like to pitch in over here.
Yeah,
Virendra
Virendra.
here. Whenever there is a search option in any of the systems, search help. Let's just say I'm looking for an iPhone. So even if I say IPH, there has to be options below that search bar where all the iPhone options should display for user convenience. That is what I wanted to put in.
Got it. So, Virendra, you're talking about a capability called autofill. That's
Yeah,
an autofill. I type
yeah.
IPH and
Or maybe you
automatically
can call it search help as well. Yeah.
search help. Sure. Chandrasekhar says the intent behind the search. Nikhil said autofill. Okay. So here is my promise to you guys. In this conversation will be jargon free. We are not going to take any technical terms yet solve this problem. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sandeep, I think I had a point here. And
Yes, Akhil.
probably this is something you don't see in typical, e-com websites also. For an account per se, or if, like for example, within Amazon search itself, if I want to see my previous orders, rather than going and finding that button, I mean, would it not? I mean, okay, I'm trying to bring some bias, but I would also like to see what is the current status of my orders or my account information where from the search itself, so that I don't have to have another extra button for it.
Sure. So there's an additional feature that why do I need to go to account, click here and there and go there? I should just search and say my orders, blah, and it just finds it. Sushmita says category, Ram says who's going to search, what will be search, etc., etc. Now, okay, let me put the structure for you. Okay. The structure is this. When given a technical architecture problem, this is exactly how we solve problems in Microsoft as well. For every single technical architecture problem, we start with the persona involved, the person involved. And Ovro, now I'm going to be talking to you because you are my guinea pig and I'm very sorry about that. So Ovro, whom do you think are the personas involved in search? While I'm asking Ovro, feel free to completely bombard the chat box with whatever others feel as I'm asking questions.
so whoever using this app, this Amazon app, I mean, that could be the persona. And also I think Amazon has two apps, one for vendor and one for customers. So also vendors who are supplying to the end customers. So both could be the user of those app.
You're absolutely right. There are actually, to keep our life simple, we just talk about these two personas. There's a vendor and then there is a user. Now, as I'm saying this, don't take it into context of we are solving the problem for Amazon. The same way you should solve problems for Airbnb, for Teams, for any freaking product on the planet. You start off with who is going to use my product. After we figure out who's going to use my product, let's talk about that persona's journey. Bro, I want you to pick one of these personas, okay? Either the seller or the buyer. Help me articulate that person's journey first. And
So
where does the journey start? Think of it that way.
journey starts in seller's warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no,
Great.
no, my bad. No. Seller, journey starts in when a user think of any product, searches it, then he places the order. Then that information is, I mean, he's sent to the seller's database or seller's mobile. Then he packs the product from the warehouse, and similarly ships the product and it reaches to the end customer. So
Great. Articulate the seller's journey now.
sellers, sellers will be having a certain inventory. So when a order is received, so I mean there is a assumption as the when the order is received, that order should be placed in our inventory. I mean our inventory is up to date. I mean that's the first thing. I mean seller should do it when an order is received. So he will do the necessary packing and all thing, and ask the delivery boy to come and collect and
So
ship.
Avro, your end-to-end scenario is correct. Think from search perspective now. I will let you stay with the buyer's journey. Oh, sorry, the seller's journey. Okay. I'm a seller. Okay. And I'm going to sell this light to you. You see this light? I have this ring light right here, which is making sure that I look pretty. This ring light is my product. Okay. I'm going to search for this ring light on Amazon. Okay. It's right here. So this ring light we are trying to sell. Okay. Now think from my perspective. This is a ring light. I want to sell this ring light. Keep in mind search. That is very important. And now is when I will take breaks and interrupt you and we will design the architecture. But before that, are we clear? We start with the persona. We start with the persona's journey. We don't talk about solutions just like that. We don't talk about, hey, I want to search. We don't talk about, let's do, I have a great idea around how we can improve search. No, the question being asked is design the search architecture, which means tell me how search works today. Okay. Therefore, we need to understand the current journey. Avro, back to you. Stay with me. I am a supplier. I just made this ring light. And for those, and not Avro, others, click on that ring light, see what it is all about, see what all features it has. Avro, for you, I just made this ring light. What do I do next?
So I will register my name into Amazon, and I
Great.
will register my product that I have. I have this rim light. I mean some light into the Amazon's database, and
Yes.
I will quote a price.
Wait. Right there. We are thinking search. Okay. You are responding to my question on how will you design search. You are absolutely spot on. I am a vendor. I got this light. I have some information in my mind that I want to put about this ring light. Can you tell me what all information about this ring light would you like to put on Amazon.com? Like you said, there is a vendor app. Tell me about that. What information will you put?
First, if the bulb is LED or not. I mean specifications of the bulb.
Sure.
I'm not sure about the entire specification of the light. So the entire specification of the light will be placed,
Hmm.
and then price. I mean that
Sure.
price.
Think,
I mean
Bro,
the
think from
origin.
search perspective. Think from search perspective. What all information do I need to know as a user for me to be able to search this light? Think from that perspective.
Okay,
You're right. Price is correct. Yes, go ahead.
the name is ring light. So I mean, so the name should be registered like this. So when I search ring light, so this, I mean the upon the many ring lights, this light should come up.
Perfect. There has to be a title.
Title.
Right?
Yeah,
there has to be a
exactly.
title to the light. There has to be a price to the light. You already talked about technical specification. I will call it maybe the description. Anything else?
Past reviews. I mean, can we?
Past reviews I can't put as a vendor.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That is job of the marketplace.
Exactly.
I can't put as a vendor.
Yeah.
Think of something else.
We market to a particular category. I mean.
Go ahead. Yes. By category you mean what? Location?
No, so if it's in a lighting segment, so like this, I mean, in Amazon app, there is a segment called lights and all that. So
Absolutely. Somebody already said, Nikhil said, categorization. बेच क्या रहे हो? लाइट है, जीन्स है, रिंग तो नहीं बेच रहे रिंग लाइट के नाम पे. It's a ring light, right? What are you selling? You're absolutely right. Categorization. And then there are so many other
and
things, right? Yeah, please go ahead.
images, right? And the name of the company.
Absolutely right. The vendor. Who is a vendor? Cloudtail. Somebody else. You have to give all of that information. Amazon can't imagine that information. So great. Now, so let me summarize. As a vendor, you have just put the title, the description, the price, the vendor name, the location, where you will be serving, etc., etc., etc. Right?
Yeah.
All of this information, Amazon will give you a form to fill. You will fill up the form. What do you think? Is this structured data or is it unstructured data?
Unstructured data.
Or structured data. Think carefully. Unstructured. So let me differentiate between the two. Unstructured data means I have no idea what's there inside the data. It could be anything. I have no idea what are the like. Think of it as an Excel sheet where I have no idea what the columns may be. That's unstructured. Structured is I exactly know what is the column name and therefore the data that has gone in it. Think of it that way. Simplified.
Okay. Then it's a structured data because yeah.
Got it. If it is structured data, once the vendor fills in that information, clicks on the save button, that structured data is getting saved somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Where would you like to save this?
Maybe temporary database. Maybe how do I temporary database?
Why temporary?
Because I mean this database should not be accessed by everyone. It's accessed by only me, and this I mean this should not affect the total quantity sold or bought by that.
Sovro, you are getting exactly on the point. So don't call it temporary database. It's not temporary. It's as permanent as it could be, right? Because the data is stored in Amazon's database somewhere from where the vendor can see the data and Amazon can use that data. Do you agree with me?
So if I save any product in the cards, will vendor see that data? I'm not sure.
No, we'll come to that. Abhi, we are not talking about selling at all. Customer has not come. Only vendor has come.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll come to customer later. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Again, when I'm proceeding, right, look at the approach. Okay, it's not the creativity of the answer. The approach is you have taken a scenario, you have taken a persona, and you are now detailing that out. And see, you are answering technical architecture questions here. You have just said that Sandeep, vendor enters the data. It is structured data. I'm putting it in a database. Temporary or permanent, let's keep that aside. It's a database. It's a data storage. Inside that data storage, you very clearly mentioned this is all vendor data. Nothing to do with customer right now because purchase has not happened. Right now I'm uploading now. I'm uploading zero sales, zero reviews, zero everything. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. If it is a database, how will this data look like? Like now, the only technical term I'm introducing right now is tables, which I think so all of us must be aware of. How would that table look like? Assuming that we found 6 information, like Sumita mentioned it, and I'm just going to focus on what she has mentioned. There is price, there is title, there is category, image, performance, features, and brand. Forget images. Talk about price, title, category, performance, features, and brand. How do you think your table looks like?
The brand and title could be my defining feature. They both of them could constitute to become a primary key of that table because suppose my brand is Vipro and my light is LED, I mean LED LED tube light. So that thing is constant. I mean any product should not be such thing. So that is fixed into the table.
Got it.
And we will have price, category, performance, other columns as it is.
Perfect. Some tables are getting formed, right? And you are dabbling around what could be the primary key, what may not be the primary key, foreign key. As I said, this conversation is completely jargon free. So I'm not
Okay,
getting into
sorry.
how the No, you did the right thing. I am saying I will keep it jargon free. But a good learning here is try and understand how databases and tables work. Okay, that at least takes you one step deeper. But one thing we are clear of is as soon as data is stored, that data is stored in a database. In that database, there are tables, and those tables, like to keep your life simple, what I would say is when you're thinking databases, right? Think what are the big elements that you are storing. So I have vendor information, maybe I have product information, I have inventory information. I'll make three tables: product, vendor, inventory. And
Exactly.
overall, one very important point: primary keys are always IDs. Think of it that way
Yeah.
to make your life simple. So सब में ID डाल दो. Put a product ID, vendor ID, inventory ID, and then join the three. But
Yeah.
that's not the point. That's like digging way deeper. I'm not even going there. You have just told me that all of this information is in a database and it is filled with tables, right?
Yeah.
How many items do you think Amazon is selling every, I don't know, how many inventory items would Amazon have? Hundreds, thousands, millions, hundreds of millions?
Millions maybe.
Very, very high number, right? Now imagine how deep your databases will be. Will there be few columns or will there be very, very deep?
Many columns.
Many, many,
Mm.
many columns. Okay. Now take a pause. Let's go back to the scenario. You have so far told me vendor has updated all the information on this particular database. The vendor filled up the form. The information is filled in the database. Great. Vendor journey is done. Right? I have uploaded my data. My ring light is uploaded. Go figure out how to sell it. Right? Vendor's job is done. Now let's go to the user's persona. Okay. Now tell me, I am a guy who's trying to buy this light. Okay. When I am trying to buy this light, how will you search it?
Like this, suppose I want LED light, so I will buy suppose the brand is Vipro, so Vipro ring light, like this thing I will buy.
Perfect. So I'll give you a search term also. Let's say I search for ring light for YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. As a user, I am typing ring light for YouTube. And my expectation is when I search for ring light for YouTube, this light should show up. Agreed? We are all in
Yes. Yeah.
agreement?
Yeah.
Great. When I search for ring light for YouTube, as soon as I search this query, will you hit this database, which has millions and millions of records? Now imagine if you hit this database, ring light for YouTube by Cloudtail. Let's say I search for this, right? I have to hit 4 different tables. A vendor table which has Cloudtail, ring light from product table, and YouTube which has maybe product description, I don't know. And I have to also show lights that are available in inventory. I don't want to show you lights which are not in inventory. What's the point? Out of stock करके क्या करूँगा, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it is the right strategy for me to search for this term inside this database by doing join between these 4-5 tables?
No, the data load will be very high.
Data load will be unbelievably high. The search will be so non-performant. I have already given this ring light in the link in the chat. I want people to click on it and search for this ring light for YouTube. When you search for this, see how much time it takes. Is it instantaneous or is it loading after maybe 40 seconds you'll get the result? It's instantaneous,
Peak of
right?
a second. Yeah.
So one thing is for sure, this database is populated by the vendor, but we can't use it for search. Search has to use another data store. One thing is very clear. Ovro told me, I didn't say so. Right? Now Ovro has said we can't use this database. So let's go design another database. Ovro, question for you. Let's assume this is the only search query I ever care about. Okay. The search query is ring light for YouTube. Okay. Imagine your database looks like an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Okay. Where you are free to put whatever you want to put. Okay. How would you like to I'm sorry. How would you like to structure your database so that this query performs quickly? I don't care anything about any other query. This query should perform great that when I type ring light YouTube, the output should be my one ring light. I don't care about other ring lights also.
This is a
Make it an attempt. It's a difficult one. This is the most difficult question I'll ask you in the entire thing.
So I will segregate the product, suppose light with L like this, and if any light is being searched, so I will search in that L category maybe like this. Can we do like this?
You can do a dictionary. You are thinking of a dictionary based database, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you can do that. Let me oversimplify it for you. I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes.
You're able to see?
Yes.
Imagine if I create a database like this. And let's call this Ovro's light. Okay, so this is called the AVRA, right? Ovro.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is my Ovro's light. Pardon my handwriting. Okay. Imagine if my database was like this. I say light YouTube. So every time somebody searches for ring light for YouTube, I find Ovro. Therefore, Ovro's light is the one that I have to display. And guess what? Ovro is not alone. I want another name. Sushmita. Sushmita also sells this light. Right? And guess what? Sandeep also sells this ring. But it's not a light. Does that make sense? If my database were something of this structure, my queries would be very fast, right? Because I'm exactly putting my data structure in the form by which the user is searching. Think of it that way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now imagine what you told me earlier, Ovro, was there is a database. This was the vendor database, which had 3 tables, if I remember. One was product, one was vendor. What was the third one? I'm trying to remember. Inventory.
Yeah, okay.
One was inventory.
Inventory.
Product will have all of that, right? It will
Yeah.
have product ID, product name, vendor will have vendor ID, vendor name. This will have inventory ID, inventory name, and it will have maybe product ID. And this product ID will be a foreign key to this primary key and something like that, whatever, right? So
Yes.
forget this. But this is my vendor DB. From this information of my product, vendor, inventory, etc., I am transforming this information into this database so that I can make my search queries more performant. Are we on the same page on this?
Yes.
And this was my vendor DB. And we already established that vendor DB will have millions of records. Therefore, my search will not hit this guy. Search can't hit this guy. Search will hit this guy. Do you agree?
Sandeep, I have one query. I mean, the
Yes.
you have mentioned that is ring light YouTube. I mean, in the red which you have mentioned, is this a view? I mean, or it's just an, I mean, how is it designed?
I'll talk about it.
Okay.
I'll talk about it. This process is called indexing data. You have just indexed the data. But all I'm saying, you don't have to worry about indexing. You don't have to worry about the term. You just think from your technical standpoint, how do you want to structure this data to make your search more performant? Nobody cares in the world to to understand whether you understand the search terms. Forget indexing at all. You just think how you establish the fact that this is non-performant. Great. Then you're trying to establish the fact that how do I make it performant? This is how you make it performant. Now, I have one simple question for you. The vendor uploaded all of this data in this database called product, vendor, and inventory. You are creating a totally new search index which has Ring, Light, YouTube, and creating some Ovro's Light. This is Ovro's Light as one of the some entry, right? These two need to be in sync always, right? As soon as Ovro uploaded his light, this search index of sorts needs to be always in sync. What are your thoughts about it? Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, needs to be in sync.
How will you keep it in sync?
Do we use a pipeline?
There you go. Wherever you have to think about writing some sort of code, build a microservice. So we will call it, since we use the word sync, let's call it the sync microservice, which maybe is a pipeline in the backend. It maybe invokes a pipeline, which makes sure that whatever data is uploaded here becomes in sync with this search index. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we have just found, I'll just number these. Actually, I should have used the same color. There is one database. There is some second form of database, which we are calling as index. There is a third microservice that you have identified. I have a question for you. This microservice called the pipeline sync microservice. How often should this service run and when should it run?
I think it should run every second or maybe microseconds, because the products are being sold every microseconds and the inventory needs to be updated every time.
So this information will have multiple triggers. Okay.
Yes.
So what you said is right. Instead of putting it will be run every second, let's make it more performant. What could be a trigger to run this pipeline or this pipeline sync service? Think of it that way. One you already said, whenever an item is sold, because I need to update inventory.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Whenever the new item is added by the vendor.
Whenever a new item is added by the vendor. Anything else? I'm a vendor, right? I can update information also. Or I can just say, Arey, ring light all sold, delete.
Yeah.
Think of that way.
Any
other triggers?
I had a point here. If you
yeah.
May.
Yes.
When somebody already searches for a keyword and selects something, then it also helps us. It also helps the internal algorithm decide that this. If I say ring and he selected say Ovro's product, then that's a more higher selling product, so it should probably show up there.
Yeah, Akhil, we'll come to that. You are 2 steps ahead of us. We'll come to that. Okay, stay with me. We'll come to that. Give me 5 minutes and we are right there. So my question to Ovro is, Ovro, this pipeline sync service, you said it will be triggered whenever an item is sold because you have to update inventory. You have to update whenever a new item is added so that you can build this index. You said there are other triggers?
Yeah. So if any product is going out of stock and also a product is coming from out of stock to in stock.
Which is added.
Okay. Yeah. Added.
So basically stock updates.
Stock update.
And I would add another one, right? Like any update to this
the price
table. Update to any of this, right?
Yeah.
You can update the description, you can update the title, you can just update the, I don't know, my company name changed. I'm no more Cloud Tail Retail, like I'm, I don't know, Rainfall Tail Retail. So any updates, basically what we call as CRUD operations, right?
Yeah.
For any CRUD, you will update this.
Yes.
Great. So far, Ovro, you have identified 2 databases and 1 pipeline or 1 microservice. With me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Now, question to you is, if you see, you were not the only one selling lights. Sushmita is also selling lights. And she has put the same name, Ring Light on for YouTube. Right? how will you make sure whether your light shows up or Sushmita's light shows up?
Depends on the reviews, maybe. If generally it comes like this, or maybe something called promoted. I'm not sure if it's. I mean, if I have promoted my product, so it might have come first.
Yeah. So there are two concepts that I'm introducing to you. See, think from a product manager's perspective. You are a product manager. You have to keep thinking scenarios. Okay. Whatever I am saying, right? What will happen here is something that you have to say in your interview. So your conversation should be something like this, right? That, hey, I have designed this, but you know what? There is one very big problem. The fact that I have searched for ring light for YouTube, first thing I want to do is make sure Sandeep's light does not show up, because Sandeep is not selling a light. He's selling a ring. It's not even a light. So first you have to eliminate Sandeep. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. That aspect, again, this is a search term, but I'm just saying, think of the scenario. You have to think the scenario, right? So when you're saying the scenario, your scenario becomes that eliminate Sandeep. Then your next scenario becomes prioritize Ovro versus Sushmita, right? Was it Sushmita? Did I get it right? Yeah, Sushmita. Right? Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Though I said we'll not do technical, adding some technical terms so that you guys can search for it. This is called indexing in search. This is called relevance. This is called ranking. But I don't care. Don't think about these terms at all. We will search about these terms later. I'm just saying, think customer scenario, think product scenario. Now, Ovro, question to you. I asked you, how will you prioritize Ovro's light over Sushmita's light or vice versa? You gave me some very good ideas. You said, I will look at what all ratings.
Reviews or number of bulbs sold by that particular company or that particular product.
Very good. Anything else?
If my product is new, so I mean there is something called a newest product like that. I mean new
Very
introduced.
good. Very good. Anything else?
Could I
Think
jump
broad.
in here?
Think broad. Yes, please. Whoever wants to jump in.
Paisa.
Price.
I mean, what I meant is also ki, how much is the seller willing to give also? Some kind of an auction process that happens.
My margins. How much is Amazon getting? Right? Whether this guy is sponsored. Have you seen when you search sponsored ads come first? Why? My
Amazon
money.
fulfilled.
Amazon. Yeah. Now, if you see, right, Ovro, you are almost putting a structure to this ranking algorithm. Remember this product whatever vendor inventory. Now look at this. You have just told me ratings are coming from customer, reviews are coming from customer, bugs are coming from vendor, newest is coming from vendor, price is coming from vendor, sponsorship is coming from Amazon, margin is coming from Amazon, and so on and so forth, right? And maybe if I were to add let's add something else, right? Your friend bought this, which is nothing but, if I were to call personalization, do you see this? Your ranking itself is based on so many different criteria. Are you with me so far?
Yes. Yes.
Now, if I were to draw the architecture diagram here, now just think through it, huh? Each of these, how will you know personalization? How will you know product? How will you know my marketing engine? Because sponsorship and margins is on marketing engine. How do you know all of these things, right? So this is how we draw our architecture diagram. You have said there are two databases. There is already a pipeline sync service. There is a relevance service. So I'll mark it in blue. There is a relevance service. There is a ranking service. And your ranking service is now talking to multiple other microservices. Let's look at those microservices. According to Ovro, one of them is a personalization service. One of them is a product ranking service. One of them is I don't know, marketing engine, which belongs to Amazon. One of them could be social signals, right? My friend bought, therefore I bought, whatever the case may be, right? Now, if you see this dabba diagram, right? Like I'll just draw another dabba diagram. So there is a ranking service. Above the ranking service is the relevance service. And this relevance service is directly feeding from this index. With me so far?
Yes. Yeah.
So far you have helped design, let's recap, vendor added data. Based on the vendor adding data, you created a pipeline sync service which created a search index. This search index, as soon as user issues a query, and if you remember, that query for us was, I'll draw the really bad Amazon search page. That search query was ring light for YouTube. I took this query. Using this query, I tried to figure out my relevant results where I eliminated Sandeep. Then I figured out ranking where I found that Ovro's likes, ratings, reviews, whether it's a newer product, whatever the case may be, is higher than that of Sushmita. And all of this happened because I was feeding this information from all of these signals. Therefore, my ranking service told that please rate Ovro's light over Sushmita's light. With me so far?
Yes, agreed.
Got it. So right now, we all know that as per the ranking service, ranking has told me Ovro first, Sushmita next, and maybe others, right? There'll be so many other lights. Okay. Now what do? I will put Ovro here, Sushmita next. Agree?
Yes. Yeah.
So far, you have designed thus far. Okay. Now, what do you want to do next in search? I'll just keep it open to you. Anything else you want to do in search? Because my search results have shown. Anything you want to do, any learnings you want to take from the portal itself?
Sort. There is a sort button, so I can sort it according to the price, maybe popularity, or maybe reviews.
You're absolutely right. There is sorting, there is filtering. Where did that happen? Very simple. When we are giving Ovro's light and Sushmita's light, we will give all the parameters that are required for sorting, right? There is some computation that needs to happen. Now, just think through the sorting service, right? I got Ovro's light, which was priced at 5,000 rupees. Sushmita's light is priced as 1,000 rupees. I want to sort by price. When I sort by price, what do? I will create a sorting service. Sorting service क्या है? There is some compute engine that needs to run to figure out which is the least price to the maximum price. You agree?
Yes.
So there is a sorting service at play. I will force you in another direction. Okay. You are a product manager and you want to learn continuously from the clicks happening. What if you show Oro, Sushmita, and then Ram's light, and everybody is clicking on Sushmita's light, even though it is ranked number 2? How will you fix that problem? Maybe Sushmita's light should be ranked 1, Oro should be ranked 2. How will you go fix it?
So I'm in Amazon, right? Or I'm
Yeah. You are Amazon. You are my Amazon search product manager who's doing all of this.
Yeah.
You have drawn this dabba diagram for me. Architecture diagram.
So I will move Sushmita's light up than Obro because because of
How will you even get to know that people are clicking on Sushmita's light instead of Obro's light? How will you even get to know?
when any there are this is a links, right? I mean, when it is clicking on someone is clicking on the Sushmita slide, so this hit will get back to the database. That
Brilliant. See, now think from an architecture diagram, right? Now you are saying, oh, Sandeep, this ranking, that all of this is ranking, now that Sushmita should go first, Avro should come next. You are saying in this ranking, right, I need one more. And that is called portal signals, right? And this portal signals is coming directly from the UI.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
See, you are building your architecture diagram. Keep thinking architecture diagram perspective. And basically now what you're doing, you are saying in this portal, I will have enough metrics that will keep measuring who comes first, who comes next, etc., what is getting clicked, for what text that was being searched, etc. All of that data is going into portal service, and then there is some computation happening. You don't need to worry about it. Between this to this, there is some code written which hydrates my ranking service. Do you agree?
Yes. Agreed.
Brilliant. Now I have a question for you. We created two databases, right? One was search database, point number 2. One was the vendor database, point number 1. ये personalization, product ranking, marketing engine, social signals, portal signals, where is it getting data from? From search? From this database that you created for product, inventory and vendor, or something else? ये data आ कहाँ से रहा है? Where are you getting this data from? Where did you get marketing signals from Amazon? We didn't ever design the database for that.
So is there any separate database for that? I mean,
Banado! Who's stopping you? Make it. There is a big data warehouse. Data warehouse. Why am I calling it a warehouse? It's a warehouse. It's a massive warehouse. Call it whatever name you want. Which contains marketing something. It contains information about personalization. This also gets feed from this, from my product data or my vendor data. It also gets feeds from, I don't know, whatever is happening on the portal. See, because this was just a compute. Actually, this line should go all the way here, not here. This is just the algorithm, the logic, right? The services are just logic. Whenever I say service, think some code written, not the storage. So whenever you define a service, it has to have an underlying storage from where the service is getting hydrated. है कि नहीं?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, brilliant. So Avro just told me, boss, 2 data storage नहीं है, 3 है. There is one where the vendor entered information. There is 2 which was hydrating search. There is 3 which is parting with all these signals. Do you agree?
Yeah.
See, I am just actually my search architecture is done long time back. If your interview is going on, right, you can just add more and more and more and make this whole architecture more and more and more relevant. Let me make, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. Let's say I'm a Microsoft, you're in a Microsoft interview, right? I will give you more questions and I'm also making those answers so simple. I'll make another one for you. Are Avro, ring light YouTube. I want to change this use case here. This is very simple. I entered, I don't know, I'm just making it up. DEPT, department, short form for department, and a word called stationery. I may also, the results that I get from DEPT stationery are the same that I should get from department stationery. How will you go solve this problem? This is my search query. Why have you taken such easy terms like ring light and YouTube? I want to make it complex. And maybe some people don't call it DPET, they call it DPT. That's department for them. How will you go solve this problem?
Will there be any unstructured database where these items are stored? I mean,
okay, so great. So at least the way you are thinking is, guys, I need some other storage which tells me that department is DPT. That's what you're trying to tell me, because you said unstructured storage, which means that database is not one of these databases, because in none of these databases we had this department is DPT is DPT. Do you agree?
yes.
बना दो. Let's call it the dictionary service. Do you agree?
Yes.
This dictionary service is what this search query will hit and check for the abbreviations. You getting it? I just made something complex and then I said a simple answer. Do you agree with me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, now let me make your life miserable. Huh? Sorry, bro. Don't take me
No
after
problem. Yeah.
Okay, now see, I'll just keep making things complex for you. And while I make complex, you will realize the answer is there in your mind. You just need to structure that answer well. I have a question for you. That, bro, see this database, database number 1, which vendor was populating, had millions and millions and millions and millions of records. You just told me this pipeline sync will run on so many triggers. When something is sold, when something is added, when something is deleted, when a stock update happens, etc., etc., etc. Boss, this database is powering my website. If you will hit this database so many times for updating your search index, my website will go down. What are you doing?
Exactly.
Right? How will you go solve this problem? See, these are technical architecture problems. Now, forget anything you know about technology. I'm just asking you a very, very simple question. If there is too much load on something, what will you do?
Something is coming into my mind. I'm not sure. It's called data lake. So I mean, so we.
No. Terminology free. This
Okay.
conversation is terminology. Don't say data lake, don't data warehouse because we don't understand those terms. Do you agree? We
Sandeep,
just
sorry for pitching it. It's about sharing that load actually. Share that load or maybe use a mechanism where that data is cached for some time and that gives
cache
better
nahi.
performance.
No, no
Yeah.
technical, no caching, washing.
Sharing the load,
Make
that's my
life
answer.
simple.
You can have
Sharing
third-party
sharing and
vendors.
balancing the load.
Perfect. Load is too much on database number 1. Make a copy, no? Copy of database number 1. Make a copy. Let this copy hydrate it. This copy will trigger on a, I don't know, Saturday basis, and we'll figure out a mechanism for new, which means now I'm saying as soon as I say if I copy and I'm copying only on Saturdays and maybe new items come in, which means maybe I'm taking some leverage on recently edited items on the search will not show up. They will not, maybe I'm running this on a daily basis, not Saturday. Saturday will be bad. Maybe daily or nightly basis, right? Then what will happen? You updated your light to Ovro's light की जगह you made it Ovro's awesome light. ठीक है, Ovro's light दिखने दो. रात को वेट करो, Ovro's awesome light दिख जाएगा. Big deal. But guess what? Your website is not going down. What is your
No.
priority? Website should go down or Ovro's awesome light should show up? Website should not go down.
Yeah.
Okay, so but are you getting? My point here is, again, if you see, I have deliberately tried to remain jargon free. I'm not saying cache, etc., etc. Chalo, you said cache. Let's solve that problem also. Somebody, and I think so, I don't know. Wait, let me see the names. I think so, it was Virendra. Virendra said, I want autofill. अरे वीरेंद्र को ऑटोफिल तो बनाओ. You've done so much. Where will autofill go? How will you? The fact that I've typed ring light, how will it show ring light for YouTube? That has to show now. How will you do that?
So I mean, it's best on the previous what other person have searched like this.
Spot on. You are absolutely right. You just said. See now you see technical conversations are so much based on intuition. क्या करेंगे? Oh, I don't know. Make one more storage called previous searches, and which contains if somebody searches ring and light also searches YouTube. And now guess what? When I'm typing, this service gets called or this storage gets called, and let's call it the auto fill service. And this is my DB number 4 or cache. I'm not taking any terms. It's just storage. See, the very simply, if I were to tell you, right, there are so many terms, right? Data warehouse, database, cache, data lake, etc. I don't know what all terms I said. They are all storages optimized for some use case. कुछ structured है, कुछ unstructured है. Some are more performant, some are less performant. But at the end of the day, they are just storages, right? So at times you need a performance storage, at times you don't need a performance storage. So keep your life simple. Don't get into this mindset of unless you exactly know that yes, this is a use case for data warehouse and not for data lake, etc. Unless you are sure, don't utter the terms. Okay, if you are just saying I want a performance storage, why? Because okay, I have a question for you, Ovro. In these, I gave you 4 storages, right? I gave you the database, I gave you the search index, I gave you a data warehouse which has so much, right? It had personalization, product ranking, etc. And this previous searches. Which database will you consider to be the most non-performant, where you don't care whether queries take more than 1 minute to resolve? Most non-performant. Think hard.
The number this number 4, I mean, where the copy of this database, right?
Number 4 was previous search results. Sorry, my handwriting is bad.
No. So I feel priority are everything the same. So maybe the third one, where I mean,
So
third.
when I ask you this question, right, this is what should go in your mind. Pick anyone, metrics. The fact that a person clicked on Sushmita's light and not Ovro's light, even if that takes 45 seconds to come to my database, and even if in my database it is on a very slow compute engine, do I care? We will consume that data in using AI ML and hydrate my portal signal service. Only though slow. Is it impacting my user? No.
No.
What about this? Previous searches called ring light YouTube. Do you think this should be performant or non-performant? This
Will
is
not
previous
impact.
searches.
I mean, will not impact that much. I mean, we can make it a priority second, because the item should come first. I mean, that dictionary that.
No. Don't compare with others. I'm not saying now stack rank 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm saying just 4. Do you think 4 should be performant or
Yes,
non-performant?
performant. Performant. Yeah.
Very performant, because if I type ring space light space, if for light did not come immediately, what will I do? I'll just press enter. So in your language, it's a performance storage. Cache है, database है, we'll figure it out. Unless and until you are very, very aware of those terms, don't utter. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Now look at this. Ovro, how well do you know search? Ovro,
Yeah.
how well do you know search?
So
I'll answer that question for you. I don't think so. Before this meeting, you felt that you could design Amazon search. Is that true?
yeah,
How do
exactly.
you feel now?
Yeah.
Okay, I am not taking any guarantees whether Amazon search works like this. I have no idea. Okay, but my intent was not to build a great search solution. My intent was to show you a structure. If you see, whenever I posed a problem, all you had to do was think intuitively. And when you think intuitively, you can stay jargon free and create this entire structure. You built a big search architecture. I can guarantee you go start searching for Amazon search on whatever forums, you'll not get such a heavy relevant architecture diagram. This contains a lot of information, and I won't be surprised if this is very close to real Amazon search. With this, I'm going to take a pause. I know we are exactly at 1 hour time. I would open it up for questions, and I will stop presenting now so that you guys don't see your own face. Any questions?